Decentralization and good governance are the key drivers in the development process of any country. This is because people from all walks of life are made to participate freely in the creation of political, social and economic opportunities if their areas are to develop. Decentralization allows the public to have access to national resources and at the same time helping to protect the basic principles of local ownership, local control and local accountability over resources and decisions. It also involves the devolution of appropriate powers, functions and resources from the central government to the local government authorities. With a great recognition of the importance decentralization plays in Africa, the year 2012 was a blessing and a landmark for the African Union member states and local governments community. Right from the beginning of that year, the African Union policy organs agreed not only on the development of an African Charter on the values and principles of decentralization, local governance and local development, but also on the establishment of 10th of August of each year as the Africa Day of Decentralization and Local Development. This agreement came to light during the 18th summit of the African Union held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on 20th January 2012. Zambia, as a member of the AU, launched the Local Government and Housing Week and African Day for Decentralization, Local Governance and Local Development. This took place on the 2nd of August and was launched by Local Government Minister Emmanuel Chenda.
I am delighted today to officially launch this year's African Day on Decentralization and Local Government Week, whose theme is taking local government close to the people. This day was chosen at the Heads of State Summit of the African Union member states held in January 2012 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at which it was decided to declare 10th August of every year as the African Day on Decentralization, Local Governance and Local Development. I wish to inform the nation that the African Day of Decentralization this year will be celebrated on 10th August 2014. This will be preceded by the Local Government Week celebration from 3rd to 9th August 2014. The purpose of Local Government Week is to provide an opportunity to councils to interact with members of the public and to showcase potential developers and investors the opportunities available in their localities. I need not emphasize the point of doing so because the current public opinion towards local authorities is at its lowest ebb. This trend must be reversed. The envisaged benefits which will accrue from the commemoration are as follows. The public's interest in local affairs will be enhanced. Attitude of openness and accountability in local governance will be inculcated in local officials, and marketing of local authorities' potential will improve. It should be seen that all councils in the country play their part in the commemoration of the African Day of Decentralization and Local Government Week, since the theme is taking local government close to the people, which is critical to rebranding of the councils.
Local Government Week ran from the 3rd to the 9th of August 2014.
The genesis of African Day on Decentralization, Local Governance and Local Government is to emphasize the importance of local government in our daily lives. As you'll be aware, local government is about taking us from the cradle to the grave. So every activity of our lives is embodied in local government. So we are very grateful that the African Union found it fit to declare the 10th August as the day for these celebrations.
For 2014, we are commemorating the Local Government Week and African Day for Decentralization under the theme, Taking Government Closer to the People. A theme which blends very, very well with the objectives and principles of the decentralization policy, which intends to bring government closer to the people and also empowering the people.
The local authorities decentralized activities to take place at district level throughout the country. Like in any other part of the country, in Siavonga and Chongwe districts, various activities were undertaken to commemorate the yearly event.
will showcase a number of activities, a number of programs, and we've invited, I would say we've encouraged all the local residents to attend the commemoration on a Monday, where we'll put up a tent and we'll put up different desks. Each and every department will have a desk.
We lined up a number of programs, such as road shows, where we had drama groups, and we also visited some of our townships, for example, like Obama in Charleston area, where we demonstrated what we do as a local authority.
Local authorities and council workers overwhelmingly embarked on a cleaning exercise of their towns as a way of demonstrating to the public the importance of good sanitation.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. So the able government of His Excellency Mr. Michael Chirupiasata saw it fit, okay, for people to actually see what it takes. Because you say, when you just say, okay, people are on payroll to clean here, to do that, they don't really appreciate. But the way it is like this, where they even see that, okay, even the councillors, their leaders are actually taking part.
In Kafue district, the experience was the same. Council workers who participated in the cleaning exercise of the town shared their story on the celebration of the local government week.
But munga exercise yameta chita during this week. Kuyambila ku Karukungu market, ku Zambia compound. Then from Zambia compound tinabwela ku Shikoswe market. Tinakirina kwenze doti.
Bose fetu wale bombela fe pamota kwa diko atuyumwa umena ngo aba mu office na ngo aba ni banani twaika tene fe bonse pamonge nshimu. Imirimo yesu yarienda fe bwino. Ifiko fyose twasangire market bati na abantu bonse mukombo ni baretasha.
Ndeto tela kubuteko bwa PF every week nangu mu month balesa mukukirine fishare efi. Nomba ifwe bantu fwe twaba mu community muno. Tatwaishibo okuposa. Tuli basali fwe bene. Inga waposa inga bakirina ukufuma afya mukukirina katwishinga tulafituli ka mayande fishara fyeso. Ngabafu mafia mukukirina bakanso babomba ngwaba afya kirini tabalafika nokutali twaya chiposa twatumafya omwana aya chafya mulodi.
Chikankata, a newly created district, was not left out in the celebration of Local Government Week and African Day for Decentralization. The event was characterized by various activities and public participation at grassroots level.
Chikankata, we joined the rest of the country to actually commemorate the Local Government Week and this Decentralization Week. We actually put up radio programs. We have a local radio called Chikankata Radio. This is where we are explaining to the public why councils are created, where we draw our mandates in terms of the Local Government Act.
As a perfect example of decentralization and with the effort being made by the PF government, the district has already yielded positive results. It is without any doubt that the future outlook of the district is bright.
Chikankata is, as you know, being a new district, we are actually growing faster because as I'm speaking now, we have opened land for development and we are inviting the investors out there to come and invest in our district.
Key partners in the decentralization process, such as traditional leaders, showed gratitude for the commitment, dedication, and work shown during the commemoration of the events.
On behalf of Royal Highness, Senior Chief Tennis in Commissioner Mkamambo II, we are very pleased with what Ministry of Local Government and Housing is doing. We wish all other ministries, line ministries for that matter, could follow suit of what the local government is doing.
The commemoration of Local Government Week and African Day for Decentralization also availed an opportunity for council workers to express their concerns and plights to government. The most prominent concern that came to light was an appeal to government to increase funding allocation to local government and housing if council workers have to be effective.
Council workers and councils in this country, they need money, resources, enough resources so that they can do these jobs very well for the betterment of the communities. So we want to appeal to government to encourage and give more resources to local government so that we have the clean environments. we have the communities that are going to appreciate the services, clean water, all the services. So without enough resources to local government, our people will continue complaining.
Council workers have also embraced the idea of decentralization and are very expectant to see to it that it is actualized in all districts.
We are very much geared for decentralization. As I can indicate that decentralization, first of all, we needed to build the capacities of councils. We need to build the financial capacity. Councils should have adequate resources. The devolution should not just be a word. It should mean resources devolved to local government.
On 10th August 2014, Zambia thus joined the rest of Africa in commemorating the African Day of Decentralization, Local Governance and Development. The special day was commemorated by member states under the theme dubbed the African Charter on the Values and Principles of Decentralization, Local Governance and Local Development, boosting sustainable local development in Africa, while in Zambia it was locally interpreted to vision of government as taking local government close to the people. The celebration started with a march past which was flagged off by Lusaka Deputy Permanent Secretary at Kobe Filling Station.
The Day of African Decentralization and Local Government.
The march past was led by Zambia Army, followed by the well-known majorates who never fail to draw attention by their skill. Representatives of local government and housing with their members of staff, representatives of local authorities, representatives from various government departments, stakeholders, clergymen and the media were also part of the march past. The colorful event was officially graced by the Minister of Local Government and Housing at Mahatma Gandhi School grounds in Lusaka's Mtendere Township. Other dignitaries present at the event included the Minister of Chiefs and Traditional Affairs, Local Government and Housing Permanent Secretary and his deputy among others. In his welcoming remarks, Lusaka Mayor Mulenga Sata stated that decentralization is the only sure way for local authorities across the country to step up service delivery to communities they serve. The Lusaka mayor said in a speech read on his behalf by his deputy that the Lusaka City Council is ready to take on board the functions to be devolved by the central government.
I must mention that this day it is extremely important for the council because it is a day when we get to assess our strides in decentralization. Decentralization is the only sure way to step up service delivery to the communities we serve. I understand that the fact that the government has tasked itself to decentralize certain function of the central government with matching resources and to giving the council the autonomy required for them to rise to the challenge of delivering services to the community in a timely, effective way.
In his keynote address, the Minister of Local Government and Housing explained to the public the genesis, significance and the interpretation of the theme slated for an African Day on Decentralization, Local Governance and Local Development. The minister also elaborated on some of the strides that the government has made under the leadership of the Patriotic Front government in the promotion of decentralization in Zambia.
The theme chosen for this year's commemoration is boosting sustainable local development in Africa. The decision to observe this day was made by the African Union Heads of State at the summit held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on 23rd January 2012. This day, in line with the theme above, is intended for all African countries and individuals to reflect on their local governance systems and assess how these systems are contributing towards the realization of Africa's regional vision to build an integrated, prosperous and peaceful Africa driven by its own citizens and becoming a dynamic force in the global arena. This day is intended to provide all Africans with the opportunity to reflect on
The diverse and time-tested values and principles which have characterized governance, especially at the local level on this continent, and how applying those values to our local governance today.
Students as key stakeholders in the process of development were engaged by government through different topical discussions and public forums at institutions of higher learning in Lusaka. The mandate of the public discussions were to interact with students and get their views and opinions of how base service delivery can be enhanced by local government and housing. Discussions at the University of Zambia were centered on the role that decentralization was going to play in enhancing the delivery of services to the people once functions are fully devolved to local authorities from central government. The meetings also addressed the question of whether decentralization is the panacea of development that will address all the development challenges facing the nation. From the discussion, Decentralization Secretariat highlighted some of the benefits that will accompany the implementation of the decentralization policy.
The key objective of the Local Government Week is for us to find the opportunities to interact with the key stakeholders, especially key stakeholder groups. Now, the young people today, these age groups who are in universities, are a very important part. They are the majority to begin with, especially in the urban areas. A lot of the issues that local government has to handle affect them, and so it's important that we in local government get feedback from them.
Caritas Zambia, however, called on government and other stakeholders to do more, as the implementation of the decentralization policy alone was not enough to address all the problems facing the country.
Every player needs to be considered, including us as civil society organizations. It's not very good to just have structures at a national level and you're not on the ground and you're promoting decentralization. That is not correct.
Other stakeholders had this to say about the implementation of the decentralization policy.
It will bring about desired change, that we have been aspiring to as Zambians, aspiring to meet the basic needs for all, and then the opportunity, of course, to satisfy the aspirations of society for a better life and doing so within acceptable limits.
While at Lusaka University, the public forum that attracted a good number of students focused on the discussion of gender, HIV and human rights in the decentralization process.
Cabinet took this time that let us reflect on how well we are doing or how badly we are doing. There are a number of areas that we could look at when discussing local government. Today, we will be looking at the subject of HIV/AIDS, issues to do with gender, issues to do with women and entrepreneurship. Why are we looking at that issue? Because you know, whichever discipline you are into, first and foremost, that throughout the world, especially here in the developing world, that women provide the backbones of our societies.
Experts on the topic of discussion were allowed to give their analytical point of views.
We've been given the statistics. 51% at the last census of this country are women and young people. If we go even, for example, in a marketplace or even in these established new shops that are being run quasi-local councils, how many of those are being run by women entrepreneurs? Is there an affirmative action to get women entrepreneurs? We've already heard that we make the most food, by the way. We produce most of the food. We look after most of the families in Zambia.
The rate at which people are affected and infected by HIV/AIDS is high, and that is quite a threat to our progress as a nation. So how do we deal with this, and how can local authorities address that? We then look at how councils can then mainstream issues of HIV/AIDS in their programs as well as in their service delivery.
After presentations were done, students raised their concerns relating to the implementation of decentralization in Zambia.
The question of women empowerment again has to do with the issue of policy and implementation. When the minister, for instance, goes to the community, they'll say there is money that is sitting in Lusaka.
It is on record and a testimony to all Zambians that this year's celebrations of Local Government Week and the commemoration of African Day on Decentralization was different from the previous one that was held last year.
The government is preparing, to implement the devolution process. And by so doing, we want, all stakeholders, the citizens, the councils, just any ordinary person out there should be able to appreciate what the government is preparing in terms of decentralization.
With all the activities that took place during the celebrations, it is important to reflect on the country's achievements, especially at a time such as this one when Zambia will be celebrating its Golden Jubilee. It is without doubt that the Ministry of Local Government and Housing has achieved a lot in the provision of services since independence.
Local authorities have provided services ever since independence. You are talking about water and sanitation facilities, you are talking about the maintenance and creation of feeder roads. All those services are being offered by the local authorities.
I also believe as a government that the best way you can deliver services is at a local level. Hitherto, once you concentrate on the national level, there's the wastage of resources. So we hope that when we do that, we can achieve more. And then also we are looking forward to a time when this program we have taken on board, rather than make it a weekly, 1 week affair per year, we would want to have a situation where this is part of our lives as a people. We should be living local government through and through, so that by the end of the day, we can have a better country.
The implementation of the decentralization policy will no doubt spur the development agenda of the country and help government institutions to enhance the delivery of services to the people. There is need, however, for government and its cooperating partners to do more, as decentralization in itself will not be the answer to all challenges facing the citizenry.
Since we came into power, the first thing we did was to realign the decentralization policy which had been approved by the previous administration with our PF manifesto. And I'm glad to say that this process has been completed. We reviewed the policy. It was submitted to Cabinet for approval and it was approved by Cabinet. It was subsequently launched by His Excellency the President in July last year. So the decentralization policy is in place now. But it has not yet been implemented. We're in the process of preparing the decentralization implementation plan. However, I'm also glad to inform the nation that sector devolution plans have also been prepared. This program is going to be implemented in phases.
This is indeed a step in the right direction for Mother Zambia. The onus remains on the public to continue reminding government to hasten the pace of decentralization.